Hi y'all, Jeff here with Jeff's Cars and Garage, and welcome back. So in the last video, which I just shot just a little bit ago, I mentioned something about insurance and insuring cars and collectible cars and things like that. So I want to talk to you about that because there are various ways to insure vehicles. And it can be expensive. So, just to give you an idea, the insurance that I've got full coverage insurance on my GL350 through a traditional insurer. It's one of the ones that you see advertised, but it's not Geico or Progressive, but it is a national insurance company. I also have my F-150 through the same insurance company. And my insurance at my age, you would think it wouldn't cost me that much. And by the way, I have I do, for the last 20 years, I have perfect driving record. No speeding tickets, no accidents, no chargeable accidents, no nothing. I've had a couple hail claims, and that's about it. But those two vehicles, I think, still cost me somewhere in the neighborhood of about $180 a month. I'd have to go look at my bill, but it's somewhere between $150 and $180 a month for those two vehicles here in the state of Nebraska. Now, I don't drive the pickup, but maybe on the weekends, if then. Same with the GL350, except for the most recent trip. I barely put 5,000 miles on each of my vehicles every year, and I pay that kind of insurance for them to sit. And then on top of that, I have insurance on the classic, the collector cars. I've got the 300 SE is insured, the 560 SE, the 300 SD, and the 300 SL are all insured on a policy that I acquired through Hagerty, and it's through one of their companies, and I think this one was through Essentia. And that policy cost me right around $110 a month for all four. Now, when you are insuring collectible cars, obviously you establish the value, and guys like Tyler Hoover and the folks that I watch on YouTube, Tyler and Jay Leno and Tim Allen and Jeff Dunham and maybe even Monkey. I don't know about Monkey Wrench Mike, and I don't know about Randy at Auto Auction Rebuilds, or Travaris or any of those guys. I would think that people like Jay Leno and Jay Dunham and those guys would actually have what we call a garage policy. They have one big policy, and all those cars are under that one balloon, and they probably pay a certain amount of money per month. Tyler, I'm not sure. I do know he, in one of his videos, he talked about the insurance on, insuring the collectible ones, where you have a limitation of, how many miles per year you drive, and so on and so forth. Do they really inquire to make sure you're staying under that? I don't think so. But you also set a value to that. And the value changes every year, and I go in and I update, usually in the spring and in the fall, the value of my cars through the Hagerty website. So, like, for example, last year, the 560 SEL, it was showing an average, an average value, not the concourse, but the next level, at about $18,000. And earlier this year, the value had dropped a little bit to about $12,000. So that's where I insure it, and that's actual cash value. So if one of the trees that fell on it, they would just write me a check, total the car out, and take the car away. for those values, and it is a comprehensive collision and liability policy. So it's important that if you're not driving these cars, to insure them in that fashion. Now, let me talk about both of my 72s. Currently, I do not have them insured, and because they are even older, they're a historic vehicle and qualify for historic plates in the state of Nebraska. And by doing that, when I went to do the, through the Hagerty website, it showed a little bit different. And it actually, because of its age, it had a lot more fields to fill out to establish, the use or the value and so on and so forth. Now, people have asked me, well, why don't, your home insurance should cover it? Well, my policy does not. And the reason probably that my policy does not cover the cars when they're in the garage is because my garage is separate from the house. It is not attached to the house. And my insurance agent has always told me, your cars are not included in the personal property inside of your garages. And she never did tell me why. And I've talked to other people, and they say that if the car is in their garage and the house burns down, the car burns down, the car is included. And I question that because I've been told mine doesn't. And so, advice to everyone out there, check on that, because some states it may be, some states it may not be. And the state of Nebraska may be one of those states where your vehicle doesn't qualify if it's in the garage if something happened to your house. A tornado, for example, tearing the house down, and you have a classic car sitting in your garage and you're in the state of fixing it like I am on the 350 SL. And if something would have happened on this last blizzard and the garage fell down on top of my car, I would have been out. The garage would have been covered, but the car inside would not have been covered. So, folks, I'd like to, just caution you. And a lot of my viewers are in my age category. And sometimes we've been given misinformation by our insurance agents all along the way, or we're buying insurance now online where until you get that policy in the mail after you've already signed up, you see the exclusions in there, and then you're screwed because you may get the policy 30 days later, but you have a catastrophic event 10 days before that, and you haven't even read the policy to see if you're covered. So, folks, let me remind you, check on that. If you are in the classic cars or light collectible cars, or have a car that's special, but you drive it maybe twice a year to 2 shows, and you have it sitting on nice, padded pads in your garage that is attached to your house, and you turn off the insurance for the winter because it's not there, and something happens to your house over the winter, you might want to verify that car is covered by your homeowner's insurance. Otherwise, keep your insurance on the car. The folks, and what brought this to my attention was the classic cars that were lost in the California wildfires. There were a lot of them. Now, California obviously requires you to have insurance to drive on the roads, but what about the cars that were sitting inside garages in those houses that burnt to the ground? Are they covered? Unless the car is insured with a comprehensive policy, chances are it's not. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention because it is an important subject as our climate keeps changing and our world keeps changing, and we have more wildfires, we have tornadic events, we had just a recent blizzard, and my poor neighbor across the street has had a tree branch about this big around fall on a car and has crushed it. And I'm sure there's a lot more of them around town because the people park cars in driveways outside. So be mindful, protect yourself. Insurance on a classic car is not that expensive. But pay attention and talk with your agents if you have one. But do your research out there. I hope this was informational and helpful, because I don't want anybody to lose their, I want people to be able to get, what they put into a vehicle back out. And so that's why I think, because my budget is kind of tight, I'm going to sell the 300S SE as it is, because I need to get it off of the Hagerty insurance policy and get both of my 1972s on there, because what if something happens? We're coming into tornado season here in Nebraska. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Share it with your friends. Hit like. Put your comments down below. Have a great day, and thanks for watching.